Thank you, everybody. We're here for the Byrd House coaching every single Monday at 12 o'clock for 30 minutes coaching for everybody. It's free. It always is. The only cost is inviting a guest. I tell you, invite a guest. That's the cost of this. Okay. If you don't, you owe me. So rates today, 7.09%. Mortgage News Daily, we talked about. It's a great app to look at. This is a blended average nationally, but it's a great thing to have context around conversations. Hey, they were at 7.42 2 weeks ago. Now they're down to 7.09. Having that dialogue with people puts you in the light of being the expert in the situation. The other thing that I constantly preach in my coaching is knowing your numbers. You have to know what's going on in your market. Are pendings up or down? Not just sales price and things that we do on a CMA, but really being kind of an economic forecaster for your area. And everybody's different. We got people from Vegas, Santa Rosa, Chico, Roseville, Galt, Sacramento, Hawaii, and we got everybody's in the house here. Everybody's market's different. I can't speak to everybody's market, but I expect you to. And I expect you to because your clients are demanding it, right? Your clients are going to be looking at this. So super quick chat in the chat. And I want you to do, it's like a speed chat on purpose. But are rates going down in March or up or neutral? Real quick, chat it in. What do you think? You've heard all the talk about rates getting 2 or 3 adjustments this year. Are they going down in March? Neutral? Or are they going up? Okay, everybody, neutral, neutral, neutral. I only have 3. There's like 12, 15 people here. Neutral, down. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, awesome. Who'd be willing to bet their real estate life on the answer? And everybody's shaking their head no. Why? And you're smiling at me. Here's the reality of it. Nobody has the true crystal ball, but the bottom line is rates are not going to be going down like we thought they would in March or April. And the reason that we know this, or the reason that we can speculate this, is because there's a score that they put on the likelihood of rates going up or down or so on. And the feds are looking at this. All the best economists in the nation are looking at this. And I'm going to give you some of these tools as we progress on these calls so you can actually know the source of this. But I was in the event with Bill Pipes and we were talking about this specifically last week. It's all the way down to about 70% chance that they will not be adjusted this coming next round. 70% chance that they will not be adjusted. Well, a month and a half ago, it was like 90% chance that they would be adjusted in March. So all of a sudden, the economy, the numbers keep coming in. The yield is being looked at. We're looking at job creation. We're looking at inflation numbers. We're looking at all these things. And the economists are continually adjusting these things as you go. I want you to speak from facts, not what you think, right? One of the worst things you could do is say, in my opinion, it's not your opinion, because if you're wrong, then it's a big problem for you. What you want to state is the facts of the opinions. Like the New York Times stated in an article recently that this is happening, or Fannie Mae came out with a report that said this is going on. That's a fact. It's an article. It's an opinion of an article or a people, but it's a fact on a third party. It's not you. You understand the importance of this? So many of us are out there going, yeah, I think it's a great time to buy. Here's why. My opinion is this. When we could talk about mathematical facts and really help you be the authority in that conversation. Because the mathematical facts are this. The rates are at 7.09. May they trickle below 6% in March and April? 100% positively can. I think might even likely it will. It's an election year, so you could throw that all into the equation, right? And just mix it up in a big drum. So that makes it where it's a little more difficult to understand what they're going to do, because there's a lot of motivation in election year issues. But what I'm speaking to is the fact that the rates are very, very likely going to be unchanged. So that means we have a couple more months of the market being somewhat in this neutral territory. If the rates went to 5 today, what would happen to the market? And this is interactive, by the way. You're allowed to speak.
Chaos.
Why would it be chaos?
We already don't have enough houses. I can't imagine
Correct.
more demand.
We have an inventory issue, right? Critical almost in some areas. We have an inventory issue. If they lowered the rates to 5 tomorrow, the amount of sellers that would come into the market would not take in consideration the amount of buyers that are on the fence or out of the buying envelope. It would be chaos. In Patrick's words, I would agree with that, right? Chaos meaning 15 to 20 offers again, right? Prices would increase because the market would be so brisk. It turns back into a market that's really favorable for sellers because of low inventory, high demand of buyers. Everybody understand that? So when you're having a conversation with a buyer, you could say that this is the best time to buy in the next 3 months because June is the next time the Feds will meet. And we do heavily believe, the economists believe that we'll have a rate change in June. And it probably is going to be 50 basis points, 0.5%. Right? Well, every 1% of interest rate changes 1 million buyers in and out of the market. If the rates went up 1%, we'd lose 1 million buyers. The rates come down 1%, we'll gain 1 million buyers. And that number has been as high as estimated to be to 3 to 4 million nationally. So these are the kind of things that you can hang your hat on when you're talking to buyers and sellers. And by the way, it will separate you when you can be very specific. Hey, I was just reading the article and Fannie Mae and Freddie just said that rates will remain unchanged. There's a 70% likelihood they'll remain unchanged. You always want to leave yourself some room for that because that's what they're doing when they're talking about these odds and statistics. But every top economist in the nation and even the world is looking at rates and being unchanged because inflation came up a little more than they expected. Some other things are kind of trickling along with labor and so on. Does everybody understand the basis for this kind of language and conversation? Right? It's hopefully valuable for you. So when you're talking to your buyers and sellers, well, they're two different conversations, right? Talking to a buyer, there's a buyer language. And when it's a seller, there's seller language. And so I do this pretty often, but I'm going to put somebody on the spot that maybe hasn't been here that much. Rebecca's been here, but I'm going to put you on the spot, Rebecca, and I'm not meaning to make you feel bad, look bad, or anything else, right? It's just a learning opportunity. Rebecca, how is the market? Look, we're in Safeway, and I see you. You have your name badge on, like a good, right? Sure. And I go, Rebecca, you're an agent at EXP. That's amazing. How's the market? What's your answer?
It depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay, right? Perfect. What do you mean by that?
So are you trying to buy right now?
Okay, time out. Perfect. I was hoping you would go this direction. So a correct way to answer that is, well, Rebecca, it depends. Are you a buyer, seller, investor, or renter? Yeah. Right? Because those are all 4 different answers to that market question. But too many times, let's shout out what you hear when somebody says, how's the market?
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic. Or, yeah. Oh my God, this is a tough one. Or there's no houses to sell. Right? That's what you'll hear.
Right.
And so I want to really get you into the mindset that you have to stay in curiosity when these questions come up. And this one thing will change your languages that you're having with people. And then, by the way, you can kind of preface it them to ask you how the market is. Hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm in lending. Awesome. Or let's say I work in the automotive industry. That's awesome. I'm a real estate broker. Pause. And they will say, how's the market? That's just the normal conversation. This is your opportune time to say, well, it depends. Are you a buyer, seller, renter, or investor? And if they're a buyer, you could say, you're going to hear this a lot, but I'm telling you now is the absolute best time to buy that we see for the next foreseeable future, because we're still in this little bit of a balanced market. It's not quite a buyer's market, not quite a seller's market. Usually 4 to 6 months is the indicator. Below 4 months, seller's market. Above 6 months, buyer's market. In the middle is this neutral territory where we are. I don't know about everybody's market here, but the average is about 3 to 4 months on market, right? 2 years ago, it was like 2.7 hours was the average time on the market, right? And then you roll back a few more years than that, 9 months was the average time in the market back when we were coming out of 2010. So by asking that question, you could really pre-frame the conversation you're going to have with them about a buyer, a seller, a need, or whatever it may be. Right. So based on that information, if I said, Rebecca, I'm a buyer, what would your response be?
Terrific.
Okay. Why is it terrific? I thought it was really the rates are high and there's no houses. Why would you say it's terrific?
Well, the market is actually fairly balanced right now. It's a little bit different because versus 2020 or 2021. As a buyer, you actually is more balanced, so you have an opportunity if you're looking to buy to maybe negotiate on a price with a seller right now.
Okay, awesome. And so great job. So I would say the similar things. I would say that you have more options right now. It's low inventory, but you don't have as many buyers in the pool right now because the rates are still inflated, right? And and then I'd say, how do you feel about that? Are you ready to take advantage of this market? Right. And again, depending on the response, you can have an objection handler to that.
Right. I'm all cash. I'm ready to go.
All cash is great. You have a lot of power as an all cash buyer right now because people are still struggling with financing. Right. And the higher rates are driving some people away. I think you have also strength in the cash, which has been, true for most of our careers. A cash buyer has less contingencies, less train wrecks, less opportunities for change, all these things. Right. But the reality is, do you know that most lenders allow an 18-month no cost refi when you purchase? Most lenders have that. And so that's something you can coach your buyers to look for or even negotiate. A lot of agents don't realize that. You could do a no cost refi and you can negotiate the time frame of that depending on their loan programs. And most loan packages I talk to, most lenders have about an 18-month, some's 12, some's 24 months, but 18 seems to be the average that you have a no cost, a true no cost refi. And you might pay $100 for an appraiser or something to come out, but it's very inexpensive, meant to be free, right? So then, by the way, the language that we've been saying, marry the house, date the rate, that now is they're looking at that from a compliance issue. And I coached that, by the way. I was saying those words 6 or 7 months ago because I think I thought of it, but maybe somebody else did and I copied it. I don't know. But I was like, hey, marry the house, date the rate, But now when you look at it, what if they can't do it later? Then you've given them bad legal advice. You've given them bad foundational advice. So you want to stay in that place of neutrality. You're still saying the same things, but it's like, listen, Rebecca, I know the rates are a little higher. You're going to get locked in at 7.09. But remember, most lenders, and this is an important question to ask your lender, is do they have a free refinance option and what's the time frame for that? And then you could tell your buyer, I have no crystal ball. I am not telling you what you can and cannot do. But my recommendation is to look at this from that perspective of if the rates drop half a point or whatever it does in the time that they stay in, they're going to drop over the next 2 to 3 this year, that you have an opportunity to refinance, not once, but maybe a couple times. Again, now I'm giving dialogue to the buyers to have a conversation with the lenders to come back to serving them. And then all of a sudden, we might have a short-term solution that we need to overcome with long-term gain of them having that home ownership. And the issue with them waiting on the fence until the rates come down a half a point or 1 point is they're likely going to pay more because the market's going to increase. The sellers are going to be able to charge more and get more for their house when they're getting 15 offers. It's going to happen, right? If the rates come down, that will happen. And so the inventory gets smaller again. Eventually, we could see a spike in inventory from sellers that are now able to move as well, because there's a lot of sellers that are in this 3.5% range of interest rates. 3.5 to 4 is pretty average across the nation. I think, I forget the number, but don't quote me, 70% of every seller out there has a rate that's below 4%. Right? It may be a lot higher number than that. So if we start getting the rates down in the fives, then it makes sense for them to move as well. So that's what I really love about this is the opportunity to look at it from that perspective. Is this making sense? And then now if I'm a seller, Kenny, what would you tell me if I'm a seller?
Sorry, I just jumped off of a call. I think I was missing what you had going on there.
That's okay. Patrick, what would you say if I was a seller in that dialogue?
I'd share with them something I just learned. I did a video 2 days ago for my Instagram, did some research and got a stat that I hadn't thought of before, but I'd tell them, it's a great time to be a seller. 2/3 of our current properties that have sold got an offer within the first 2 months. And then another third had multiple offers. And of those listings, there were 160 of them. They received 560 offers total.
Wow.
So that means there's 400 buyers in our county right now that are out sharking around that have already written offers that are looking for the right house. And if we position yours well, properly price it, properly prepare it, market it correctly, let's see if we can get you 5 offers.
I love the language. By the way, I don't know if your stats are true or not. I'm going to ask you where you got them.
I just did them. It blew my mind. I pulled it up.
I believe you, but my point is, if you would have just went, oh, we're getting 5 times the offers than we are contracts, that doesn't have any validity to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you could say, it's very interesting. I just did a post, which you could see, and we backed it up with data from analytical data or GPS.com, whatever it is, so they could explore that.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes factual. That becomes a gospel conversation.
I've tried to get away from talking about where rates are going because who the hell knows? And
yeah,
I got burned on that back in 05, 06, just trying to guess what things are going to, I'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah, I get that, but that's not what the buyers want to hear.
Yeah.
So when we can,
with that, I just say, they said, should I buy? I said, there's never been a bad time to own.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If you don't own, then you need to.
I'm not arguing that, but you're not pacifying the concerns in the buyer's mind with that.
Yeah.
That's my argument, right? And so the other side of the coin is being overselling. Oh my God, it's the best time in our lives to buy, right? Well, did you buy a house this month? No, I didn't buy a house. Well, if it's the best time to ever buy a house, how come you didn't buy a house this month, Mr.
Then sell mine,
right?
Everybody should have one, at least one.
No, I totally agree. So hopefully you understand that you can gain the trust and the know, like, and trust of buyers by having these factual conversations with them.
Mm.
And it's even more important when you say, hey, I think we have a couple months. I'm not saying you have to buy today, but I'm saying we have a couple months, because as soon as that next trigger happens in June, which I'll indicate, I'm going to watch it for you. I'm going to let you know every month what's going on. But right now it's like a 90% rate that we're going to have a rate change in June. And that rate change is not going to be in their economist position. It's not a 0.5 or a 0.25. It's 0.5. So again, we don't have a crystal ball, but if all these things line up, then you've got March, April, and maybe parts of May before we start seeing that increase in the market.
Yeah, we felt it even this last time when it dropped into the 6s for a brief period there. You could
like a week.
You could feel a palpable change in the market.
They were only in the 6s for like a week, and it was the biggest
January. It's nuts.
Biggest January all my people have had in like a straight year, right? So it had a direct impact on now business. And then it went away, and then the rates went all the way back to almost 7.5 again. Right. And so in having the conversations with the buyers about what that emotional experience was, there's people that feel like they missed out again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So helping them get in front of that and being prepared, that opens you up for a conversation about getting pre-approved. Maximizing your pre-approval doesn't mean you have to spend it. Let's maximize our buying power, because you never know.
To your point, Randy, too, if they had bought at 7.5 when it was slow at the end of the last year before it went down, and they told their lender that they want it, if it hits 6.5, even for a day,
6.75, whatever,
refi me. I'm ready 100%. To go.
And there's lots of people that locked in when it went below 7.
They could have had all the benefit of being in the slower market with the 7.5% rate and had the 6.5 after the refi. So
yeah, and you could have been a hero if you had talked about that 18-month buffer for a free refi.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So don't take my word for 18 months. Talk to your lenders and find out what it's different for every loan, every portfolio loan. All right. But I think that's the now conversation for real estate coaching. The now conversation for sellers is, listen, I think we're seeing steady appreciation. Another fact, I was trying to look it up. Another fact is there's 1 out of 10 economists that believe that appreciations will go down nationally. And it was like somebody we discredit, right? So almost every, but to be totally accurate, I want to say 9 out of 10. They all think that the valuations are going to go up from 2.8 to 5.9% this year in 2024. So that's an average of 3 to 4 appreciation. That's a very solid appreciation in every market. Matter of fact, that's healthy. If we can keep that 3 to 4% appreciation, it's healthy. Anything below that is, negative appreciation's potential. And anything above that is a bubble. We saw 18% appreciation back in 2005. In 2006, we had 19%. Chico led the nation for appreciation in home values in the country. And they also led the REO foreclosure crisis in the country 2 years later. They go hand in hand, right? And so when you're looking at these things, and I love this dialogue, we can have conversations with them. Now, what about investors? Investors, we're kind of looking at something different, looking at rentals, which rents are very high, but we're starting to see some challenging markets where we pushed the envelope of rentals too high. Now we're seeing vacancies a little higher than normal. We're starting to see some balancing of rent, right? I don't know if you've seen that in your markets as well. The money side of the equation, there's a lot of creative deals going on now. Sub 2 is a very popular word now, subject to financing, meaning that you're going to take home ownership subject to something happening, right? Seller carries, you've heard about that. Wraps, a wrap basically is like, Kenny's my mortgage lender. I sell my house to Rebecca and Rebecca pays me. I pay Kenny. I'm wrapping the mortgage around me back to Kenny. That is a very creative way to do financing now, right? So all these things are valuable, but I find motivation with the client first, and then I talk about what I can do to help them the most. And what I want to do is I want to lead with factual information. So my homework today, you probably haven't had homework since high school, but my homework today is really dig into the numbers of your market, not from like just a CMA standpoint, but from a place of being a local economist to your real estate market. And you will set yourself head and shoulders above the other agents in town that are going, it's a great market. Not a good time to buy. Whatever's going on. When you could start talking about, hey, 9 out of 10 economists said we're going to see an average of 3.8% appreciation. It looks like we're not getting a rate increase according to Moody's.com and all the other ones that looks like we have a low probability. Matter of fact, it's at 27% probability of a rate decrease. That's a real number. But in June, it's way over 90 something percent that will have a rate reduction in June. Look this up for yourself.
Yeah. Randy, so what was the source of that?
I'm not naming the source right now. I was making that source up.
Oh, okay.
I had it on my phone, but I lost it momentarily.
Okay.
I was trying to find it.
The one that keeps you up to date on the percentages?
That one is, what's it called, Kenny? Kenny's not with me.
Not Mortgage News Daily.
Yeah, Mortgage News Daily, thank you, is for rates.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about is basically the Wall Street Journal and the other Fannie Mae, Freddie, what all the economists are looking at. And I had it on my phone, and I apologize. I'm kind of struggling looking for it in a million notes now. But I will bring it next week to the group. Okay. All right?
Yeah.
And so what I want to do, and in our group coaching and things that we do during the week, we post these things into the groups. so you can actually look at the links, cite the links, and have that factual data in front of you. But that's what I'm encouraging you to do today, is to know that information, because I believe that we have to move into the factual realm of what's going on in this market, because there's too many agents just saying it's amazing, it's horrible, it's good, it's bad. That's not healthy for you and your business.
I have a quick question,
Yes,
Pat. In my MLS, I don't have a way to figure out how many properties have received multiple offers. How do you find that out? Is it in your MLS?
say that. What ad?
So when it comes to the statistics Patrick was talking about,
Yes.
Patrick, if I understood you
Yeah. Where
correctly,
did you find that, Patrick?
Yeah, in our local, in MetroList MLS,
They did it.
they have self-reporting on multiple offers. We didn't always have that, so it could be that your MLS doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's true. Most didn't have that in the past, but over the last 3 years, they kind of went to it.
And I always have to caveat it as well, because it's self-reported. So the assumption is that you receive 3 offers simultaneously, but some of these took 180 days to sell, and they got 2 low offers.
Yeah.
And so they had 3 at the end. So
example, I've got a listing. I don't take listings very often. I don't lock doors and stuff very often anymore, but this was a referral, handled at 500,000, 509, and 77 days on the market. We got an offer in the first week. They had a contingent property. It fell out in Bend, Oregon, so it fell out, and then it sat on the market for the next 77 days. You get an offer in the first week, you look like a superstar, and then it sits there. And then we price reduced it, and it sat there. And it was just the market was in that wonky time. Well, what happened is we finally got 3 offers last week, all in the same 2 days, right? That's how it happens. So then if I report I got 3 offers, it looks like it was very active, but actually, in my opinion, it was not. You see what I'm saying? So self-reporting is the agents on their little checklist saying that they got 5 offers, they accepted 1, or they had a backup offer, whatever may happen. So that's what that language is.
Got it. Thank you.
And Patrick, say the numbers again, because the numbers were very shocking to me. Say the numbers again.
So it was last Friday. It was all the pendings for our county. So I had 463 pendings. 300 had 1 offer.
Wow.
163 had multiple offers. Of those with multiple offers, there were 560 offers total for that 163. So that means 400 people did not get their offer accepted on those properties.
Oh, gotcha.
Makes sense. And so my thought is that, they're out there. They're like locusts, depending on the type of property. Some of them got 10 offers. So that meant 9 went on to someplace else, and they're on to the next one.
Right.
This cloud of dust that moves from one, nice house to the next.
And see, like what I hear with that's really powerful is that's factual data, even though it may not truly be factual because it's come from the MLS, self-regulated. But you could state the source. You could state, and by the way, learning and being able to state the source is just as important as the numbers being accurate, right?
Yeah.
We had 109 properties. We had 500 offers. It was stated by the MLS as accurate on May 2nd of this year. That kind of thing, right?
Right.
Because facts are going to be what becomes your superpower here. I love this dialogue today. I think this is really where things start changing for you, and you start getting into a capacity where you're the economist for your area. And so as we wrap up the call today, are you currently the economist for your area? Or are you like most of the other agents where you're just kind of saying, it's a great market, or it's a bad market, or rates are still high, right? Whatever your belief is what you're going to convey. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate you for being here. I'm here every single week. We're not here next week because I'm in Cabo. And I'm in Cabo, Mexico with a big group of realtors, 700 of us. So no call next week, but I will be back the week after. Okay, you guys?
Awesome. Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Randy.
And hopefully I'll see some of you in Cabo. Looking forward to it. All right. See you guys. Bye for now.